Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular, fantabulous, absolutely awesome episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and I am very excited because we're back in studio today, and we have a lovely human being here. She is a designer, a life coach, a two-time author. She is also a professional psychic who's got some superpowers, which we're all going to enjoy right here. She's a wonderful soul, and we're going to tap into her designing soul because she has a new book on the market called On the Market, Off the Market, and I don't mean your house. So you get an idea where we're going to go today. Thrive Loud listeners, very excited to bring you Stephanie Rose-Vriniotis. Hello, Stephanie.
So nice to be here with you, Lou.
Stephanie is charming, delightful. We're here in studio. You have one eclectic background, my good friend here. Here's what I want to do. I want to do a little rewind. I do not want to go all the way back to the womb, but I kind of want to understand how this eclectic bunch of stuff, all of us, how did you realize all of the things that it is that you do?
Well, I guess part of it too is I am a Virgo. So Virgos are creative. We look at detail. We're deep thinkers. So even as a child, I loved anything creative, anything color, art. I used to ask people, do you dream in color? Because I dream in color. And they would tell me, no, I dream in black and white. I said, well, then we're not on the same page. So I always had this creativity. I was interested in mythology. I would just I was very unconventional, even as a child, as a teenager. I was the odd one out. And then as time went on, I started to notice everything I've done. I have not had schooling. Did not go to school for design work or anything. Everything has been self-taught. So you could possibly say that I might have been doing this in a past life or past lives, and it was always there. I just had to bring it out. And I'm always looking for something new, something different, a different spin off on what everybody else does.
Stephanie, a lot of people would call this a calling, higher power, or a certain, almost like a channeler in that particular, which I find very interesting. We've had guests on the program who channel through color. I had somebody who actually designed me a piece of artwork, which Stephanie told me didn't go so well in my house, that actually designed the colors around me and whatnot. So you see things in different ways. Do you think that's where some of this comes from?
I believe everything is energy. So color is energy, your voice, my voice, vibration, that's energy. Everything will start with energy. So color, how you vibrate, like colors like red vibrate very, very fast. So if you're telling me, what color are you, I would pick certain quick vibrational colors to kind of paint your picture. Where somebody that's shy and quiet, I would do something that's a little bit slower vibration. So if you look at everything on a vibrational scale, that really puts everything into a certain scale, I guess is the best way to describe it.
You've written a book on color. We've talked about this.
Yes.
And actually what's really interesting is you decorate and you help to see what works together. Do you take into account the people that you meet with to see how that color works?
Absolutely. Well, if you know, I know that the color green is the color of growth. If somebody does not like green, that means they are not into new ideas. So I try to stay away from introducing something new to them. So if I asked you, so we're decorating your house, and I said, oh, so do you like the color green? Oh, I hate it. Then I know if this person is like a vanilla, creams, stick with it. Don't try to introduce anything new to her or him because they won't want it. They want to stay with the familiar. So by knowing if a person walks in a certain color, I can tell a lot about them, as far as you're dressed in black, that means you just want to be incognito and you don't want anybody to really know what's going on. I wore pink, so it's all about, love, the heart chakra, like just being very open vibration.
I usually just wear black because it goes really well with the background and wherever I go. That's usually it. I'm just very pale, so it goes that way. I want to make one little shift before we get to the main thing we want to talk about. You help coach other people
Yes.
through life coaching. I guess connectivity and connection and vibrations with that as well is something important to you. In helping the people that you help, who are you trying to help? Who do you help with the most? Yeah.
I've been through a lot in my life, a lot of, ups and downs, and there was nobody ever there for me. I had to figure it out on my own and pick myself up and do what I had to do to get back to being okay. So I look at people that, need help, and I try to give them the tools. A lot of them will tell me, oh, I've gone to therapists for 20 years, and you've helped me in 1 hour by giving the tools. Therapists or psychiatrists tend to want to go back to your childhood, relive everything, which sometimes just makes things worse, where people today, they want instant gratification. So I learned the hard way how to coach myself. And then I decided to, become certified, and I help people in a very roundabout way, kind of pointing things out to them. But that also crosses over with the psychic, because I can intuitively listen to them and know what to do as far as the coaching, but then I can also take it into another level, like I can go up to another zone.
Helping people or being able to help them best understand where they fit is pretty interesting because you've been through a lot.
Yes.
You've had some very hard hardships on your life. I don't know what you want to share, what's willing there, up to you.
Family. I had strict Greek parents who, you're supposed to not go out and date and be a good Greek girl and, marry Greek. So basically I did what made my parents happy. And of course, that marriage didn't work out well. So the marriage was to someone who was very controlling, very difficult. But I got 3 great kids out of it. But the divorce, the, having to sell the house, the moving on, finances, there were so many things. So now I found that when I was able to coach, I ended up helping about 9 women get divorced and be okay with it, not be afraid. So that's one of my biggest things is to teach people not to have fear. That's what people make mistakes. They are afraid to move on in life. They're afraid to do something. And my favorite thing is jump. Just jump, and you'll be okay. So that's, it's again about energy, seeing where people are on an energetic level. I base it on a 0 to 100. So figure out where you are when you wake up in the morning. If you're at 30 or 50 and you meet people in your daily life and they want 80% from you, how could you give 80 when you're only at 30 or 50?
Right.
So you either have to lift your vibration up, put on some music, dance, snap out of it, do something, or just accept the fact that today I'm at 50 and I can't be around somebody who wants 80, So it really helps if the bulk of it is if you always go back and look at yourself. That voice in your head, you're the only one who hears it. Nobody else does. So you have to really pay attention to you. How do you feel? What can you give today? What don't you want to do? Listen, but don't override it. A lot of people, they feel bad. They don't want to be rude. And they override their own soul or their own energy, and they get themselves into trouble.
I like it. You got to set some certain boundaries and, have
Stick
a kind spirit, but, you don't necessarily need to be nice all the time.
Absolutely. And believe me, in my days of dating and being out there, I have literally gotten up and walked out and just told him, like, you're not the one. Continue drinking your beer, but I got to go. Because they didn't respect the energy. And you're never going to get that energy, that time back. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do and what you don't want to do.
Phenomenal segue, Stephanie.
Thank you.
On the market, off the market, and I don't mean your house. Okay, now I want to talk about how the idea of this book came to be and what it is all about.
Okay, so I actually wrote this book probably, 12, 13 years ago. I've been divorced for longer than I was married, and I was married 18 years, so that should give you an idea. At the time, I did all the dating, the circuit, going out to bars, online dating. And back then, it wasn't as difficult as it is today. It's actually even harder today. And one night, I remember going out to this bar, sitting there by myself, ordered a drink. And this guy, I looked around, I could tell who's single because everybody does the circuit. So they go from one place to another. And this guy next to me decides, he wants to buy me a drink. So I look over at him and he says, hey, you're here by yourself, blah, blah, blah. How about I buy you a drink? I laughed to myself because he had tried to buy me a drink 3 years ago. So I said to myself, it didn't work then. It's not going to work now. So I laughed, got up and walked out, got into my car. And while I was driving, the radio station was saying something about, there's this thing with the housing market. There's so many houses and not enough buyers. So I found myself yelling at the radio going, it's the same thing in the dating world. There's so many people out there looking to find love, but not the right, not enough of it in the dating field. So I started jotting down little things, and lo and behold, it started out, it's a good thing I didn't write it 12 years ago, because I got more into psychic and spirituality after I had gotten divorced and time went on. So this book now has a lot of tools and ways to use energy via using numerology, using your energy. Like I said, trusting your intuition when you're out on a date or you're talking to somebody, being able to gauge whether I should waste my time or I should just say, listen, thank you, but you're not the one.
The cover of the book is interesting because it looks like I'm looking at houses on an online site. Yes. Talk a little bit about the inspiration, about how you're positioning this and your thinking behind it.
It's so funny. When I was figuring, okay, everything in the book is taking the real estate lingo and applying it to dating. So whether it's, MLS is like Match.com.
Right.
If you're doing comparative market analysis, that's when you go out to see how much you're worth, for the night, just to see what your value is. So I started to think, okay, so what can I do on the cover? And I happened to be in a diner, and they have, on the way out, they have those little booklets with the different houses. And I was like, well, that's kind of like, a house is like, oh, it's mint condition, 2.0, bathrooms, this, that, 5 bedrooms. So I'm like, okay, so why don't I take a man or a woman and just use them like a house and just say, well, this one's mint condition. This one's been on the market a little too long. They dropped the price. This one, needs a little TLC. And that's how I ended up doing it. And then I laughed because I bought the pictures of them from a royalty-free place, and I often wonder, what if these people actually see this book?
They'll come back, and one of them looks like an actress. I forgot who it is in the upper.
Which one?
Yes, this one over here, right there. But the question I guess I have is, okay, so is this a positioning book on how to better position yourself in the dating market? Is this a way to understand what's going on in the dating space today? Who benefits from this?
Being in and on and off the market, okay, and being in the dating scene, it's not easy. It's not rainbows and and unicorns. It's literally very difficult, and it can become very. Some people feel hopeless, or there's sadness, and you're just looking like, why? How come? How come not me? So part of it, there is some funny stories, there's some humor in there. So I want people to read it and laugh. Mm-hmm. I want them to compare that, you're not the only one going through this. But I also want them to learn more about themselves. Like, are you truly ready to be on the market? Have you tried all, looking for love in all the wrong places? Have you worked on yourself? It's like when you look at a house, okay, if a house person's been married and now they have to sell the house, they got divorced or they passed away. If they haven't changed anything in that house in 25, 30 years, they haven't updated anything, the house is not going to sell for a higher price. Well, if you've been married for 30 years and all of a sudden you find yourself single, if you haven't updated or fixed yourself or brightened yourself up or, to put yourself back out on the market, you're not going to get the right response either.
This sounds like, should we put in this in plastic surgeons' offices? I mean,
Absolutely, yeah. You know, like
but I think you're also talking about inner work too, outer work as well. Everything.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The inner work to me is probably more important. Now that, again, when I was first divorced, I definitely went out and had a ball because I got married at the age of 20. I had a cheating husband by the time I was 29, and I got pregnant with my third, and I stayed in 10 more years in the marriage for the children. So it wasn't easy, but then as soon as I got divorced, I was like like I was in my 20s again, going back out, although I was I was 40 and taking 3 kids along for the ride. But it was like, I just wanted to, date young and go out and just have, flings and just do everything I didn't get to do when I was in my 20s.
Right.
So I got it all out of my system. And now I'm at a point where I want quality versus, that fun time. And it's different for everyone because, again, I've been divorced for so long. I'm at a point now where I will never settle, and I don't need that. But I have friends that are newly divorced that are only divorced 5 years or 7 years, and I watch them, and they're going to town, dating left and right, and drinking and partying, and I'm going, it's not going to last. You're going to get tired of it. You're going to burn out, but enjoy it, because everyone has to kind of go through that time. But that's why I say you have to see where you are on the scale of, being ready to date. Or, were you jilted? Like, did you find out the husband was cheating and now you just want to go out and get revenge? So there's the revenge dating. Is it, there's so much to it. And then you've got the other thing I noticed here in Florida, that there's like 6 women to every 1 man. When the ratio is another difficult thing. So the men ruin it because they think they can go out with a different woman every week and it's quite all right. So they do that ghosting, or I actually had a man say to me once, oh, I can't wait till you get here. And then I get here and he goes, oh, it's so nice that you showed up. He goes, what was your name again? And I looked at him and I was like, what? You couldn't remember my name? So then he goes, well, I'm talking to so many women, I get them all confused. I said, okay, that's 2 strikes, I'm out. And I walked away and I was just like, that wasn't for me.
Stephanie, you mentioned it's way harder today than it was however many years ago.
Yep.
What specifically, give me some of the circumstances where today it's much harder.
Well, back then, let's say it's 20 years. Okay, so 20 years ago, the social media was not what it is today. And you didn't have all these dating sites. They've made it to the point where you're looking for love, or you just want to hook up, or you just want sex. There's all these different types. And I think the people today are crisscrossing all of these websites. So you'll get a guy that'll go on 3 different websites. He's on the one that is just for having a fling or hooking up, and then he puts on the straight one, looking for a long-term relationship, but they really aren't, And a lot of the women too, they're looking for money. They're looking for, they're not on a soul level looking for like a really love. They think they want love, but they don't love themselves, or they don't understand the definition of love. So what they're looking for is not really love.
Speaking to yourself in this guide, I always ask guests on this program, when you're having trouble thriving, is there a practice you seek or an individual you seek out to get back on the thriving track? My question to you, with all of the work that you do as a coach, as a color expert, as a designer, as an author, and all these different things that give you this very modern day Renaissance thing, what keeps you happiest and helps you move onward and upward each and every day? Because you are doing it, because all these different things you're doing, even navigating this crazy mix of all this, what is the practice you seek or a person you seek out?
Well, I don't know if it's I don't seek out a person, although I do have friends, my mentor who is a psychic, and I studied with her. There's times, I'll say, let's just go do lunch, and I just need to ground myself. So when you're with like-minded people, that actually helps. But I had times where I would just get depressed or get very this world is crazy, or somebody upset me. And I would start to get more into what I call the victim mentality. Poor, poor, pitiful me, blah, 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 and you would get very sad. I learned from that because on the scale of, let's say, the 0 to 100, when you start to get depressed or you start to think of the negative or you start to get sad, your vibration drops. When you drop, it's like being on an avenue, okay? So that avenue, if it's a low vibration, you're only going to meet low vibrational people, low vibrational experiences. Things that are going to happen to you are not going to be very nice. But if you then change the avenue and you go to a higher vibration, there's all good things there, and you actually feel better. So it's a matter of, switching it in your mind and going into a happier place, focusing on all the happy things. I try to say that if you're, it's a matter of, look, the past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. That only exists in your mind. That's like people that wear virtual reality goggles. Do you ever see them? They trip, they fall, they flay their arms in the air, they look ridiculous. Their body is physiologically reacting to what they think is real, and it's not. So if you're constantly telling yourself, oh, my life stinks and I can't find anyone and it's all, it's bad, then you're believing that virtual reality that is not real because you're really okay in the moment. So I always try to bring myself back to the now. Like one of the things I love doing is either using lavender oil or a beautiful smelling hand cream. And I just put my hands together. And when the motion of connecting your hands, you're connecting the energy that's going through your whole entire body. Like when people pray, they put their hands together. So it's kind of like a connectivity of your energy. So when you're thinking, okay, this too shall pass, I'm in the moment, everything's fine, and you're using your senses and you're smelling, lavender or whatever is your favorite smell, it's like it brings you to the moment. Because you can only actually have one thought at a time. Did you know that?
You can't multitask. I've known this.
We are not meant to multitask.
Yeah, actually, even the thought of multitasking is not true. You clearly, unless, you are juggling and speaking at the same time. That's the only one I could figure. But even that's pretty
true.
hard. And even if you slowed it down, we'd probably be throwing the ball up and speaking one word and throwing one up. So you're never really doing two things at once. It's always one thing.
It's always
I'm with
one.
you. And I like that. This closed the circuit is what this is doing.
That's what it does. So that's the same idea of prayer. There's things called mudras where you put your hands in different, that connects the energy differently. So depending on whether you want, if you're wishing for something or you're giving gratitude, there's so much to it. But for people that have a hard time or are sad, you should never go to bed thinking bad things. Always go to bed and say, something amazing is going to happen to me tomorrow. And just think that way. Put your hands together and just kind of slow down. I think one thing that I learned over the years, when you're sad or somebody upsets you or you're in an argument or anything, if you go too fast, your body, your brain and your emotions don't have enough time to connect to each other. So it's like you're out of whack. I found, saying to somebody wants something from me, I'll say, let me get back to you on that, or let me think about it. And then just give yourself time. So even with any kind of upset, nothing stays the same, ever. So the energy will change in an hour, it'll change in a day, it'll change in a week. So when I used to get very upset and get myself into that rut, I would just stay there longer. Now it's like as soon as you're conscious of it, you have to be, that's why I said listen to your voice. Yep. If you hear your voice go, I feel ugly today, or I just don't feel good today, have a conversation with yourself, like as if you're talking to a child. Well, what's wrong with you today? Why are you feeling that way? Why don't you go shopping? Buy yourself a pair of shoes, try on a new lipstick, do something to change it, because them out there is not who's going to do it.
Yep.
You're going to have to figure it out yourself, and you're going to have to pick yourself up and put yourself back together.
Let's do the admin part of the show here. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, websites, URLs, social handles, where they get the book.
Well, you could go to my website, which is thedesigningsoul.com. There are areas there where you can click on Amazon and you can order this book, my other book on color. You can email me if you have questions about booking any type of service, which is everything from design services, psychic services, life coaching, and you can do that at thedesigningsoul@yahoo.com.
Awesome. Stephanie, are you ready to go down Fun Street here on Thrive
Oh,
Live?
let's go. I'm ready.
She's always fun for the people. All right. Can you share with the listeners one of your all-time favorite movies?
I know this is going to sound silly, but believe it or not, it's Pretty Woman.
Okay.
And the reason why that came out at the time when I found out I was pregnant with my third child, and my marriage was a mess. So I said I want to go to the movies, and that was the one I chose to go see. So while I was in my little bit of a sad mode, I was hopeful, like, okay, she could find somebody, and she's a hooker, like. There's possibilities out there. Like, you never know. So it's one of those movies that it's ridiculous, but it's an easy watch.
The modern day Cinderella always works.
Pretty much,
really well.
yeah. She's a hooker. Yeah. It can happen. Isn't that what she said?
Our producer Ben likes it as well. He's a fan of the movie. She's calling it what it is.
Yeah.
We're going to do the Speakeasy Pub Crawl. It's a stroll down Fun Street.
Okay.
Stopping at all the fun places that mean a lot to Stephanie Rose-Vriniotis. Here we go.
Okay.
Of late, the song that you love to listen to, or maybe one that pumps you up.
That's an interesting one. I love the song that Elvis Presley. It's not a real pump up. It's more of like I don't even know what's the title of it. Where it starts off, wise men say.
Wise men say only fools rush in. Fools rush in.
That's it.
There you go. Look at that.
That's it.
You got me
So
singing on the pod, Steph.
That one, yeah, you go. Bravo. I was going to sing, but I was like, no, I'm not even going to try that. But for some reason, remember what I said about slowing down?
Mm-hmm.
That one slows me down and kind of puts me in a very, happy place.
Okay.
So that
All right.
works.
Favorite food that is not a dessert?
Favorite food that's not a dessert. Oh, isn't that interesting? Well, I do love pasta, but it's got to be really, really good pasta. Really? That's one of those things that, you're going to get the carbs, you're going to get the cheese and the fat and whatever, but
it's got to be damn good.
It's got to be damn good. I'm a gourmet cook, so if I can make it, it's got to be better than what I can make.
Okay.
So that's usually whenever I want to eat something, that's where I go for.
What's your favorite dessert?
Tiramisu.
Okay.
Love tiramisu.
I like how we got the Greek going very Italian here.
Yeah, well, listen, the Greek desserts are very, very very nutty, like the baklava, and it gets very heavy. Some of the cookies are okay, but even growing up, I started cooking. My mom is Greek. I learned how to cook all the Greek recipes, and I would experiment on my fiance at the time. But then when it came time to I loved cooking everything but the Greek food because I was always around the Greek food, so now I can do both, but I switch back and forth. I make a mean spanakopita.
Oh, I do like that.
Yeah, I'll have to make it for you.
An activity you wish you did more of?
I know everybody says, I'll always tell people, I'm not a gym bunny. So I wish
Men are gym rats and women are gym bunnies? Is that actually
gym
true?
bunny,
Okay,
yeah.
Rats and bunnies. Okay.
So I probably would love to, be more athletic, I guess.
All right,
It's
do
not
more
my
active
forte.
things.
Yeah.
Okay. An activity you wish you did less of?
Clean. I'm a Virgo, so I like things to be very neat, organized. So I'm always keeping everything organized. So probably it would have to be doing something like that.
A new activity, one you've recently tried that you like so much you want to tell all the listeners and viewers to try.
A new activity. Well, okay. One of my favorite things that I do like to do that it started when I moved here is I love shooting guns.
Oh, okay. We know this.
Yes.
She's packing.
I'm
folks.
always packing, yes. So I do enjoy shooting guns. I find it is, it's an interesting thing. It's an extension of me, but I like using my intuition to be able to hit the target or maintain a calmness, because that's one of the things, they say to you, like, oh, you'll freak out and you won't be able to do everything. So I kind of mentally always practice to stay calm, check out the exits, see who's around. You never know. And just, protect my friends when we're out.
I do like the balance of this, by the way, Stephanie. We've got someone who's a psychic, a life coach, sees colors, is helping people to move onward through dating and whatnot, and she's ready to shoot on a moment's notice.
I can take care of myself. And,
this is the modern woman, ladies and gentlemen. We've been looking. We found her.
Well, thank you.
If I could snap my fingers, and you could be anywhere in the world, where are you? Oh, I think I know the answer to this.
I'm definitely in Europe. I mean, that's kind of.
I thought you were going to just go to Greece, because I think the last times I've seen you
I love
go
Greece and I love Italy. So those are my two places. But there's so many. One day when there's other places I want to go to, but I'd like to go with a significant other.
Got it.
So that's those I'm saving for that time.
Bringing it back to on the market, off the market, was this more for you, or is this more for anyone that's in, I guess, the dating market right now?
Well, I love to learn, and then I love to share. That's been my thing since I was a little kid. I love, if I have knowledge, and I have knowledge on a whole bunch of different things, I love sharing it. So one of the things was that this was kind of a labor of love for all my, single people going through this, I wanted to be able to give them a little something so they can laugh about it, find some tools. But then there's more to it, like, learn numerology. Like I give you information on how to do that, whether you're looking for a house or a spouse, their birthday or the house number. When you add it up, it means something. So I figured, okay, well, that'll give them something new that they can apply while they're dating, learning about energy, how to be in tune with yourself. So it was pretty much everything that I went through, that I know there's a lot of people out there that are going through it. And like I said, they're at different stages. I feel like I'm at the stage where I've put in all the work, I've done it all, and now it's just a matter of like letting destiny, run its course and see where it goes. And I don't need to be with somebody. I want it, I desire it, but I feel like if I can share that with others, maybe they can get to the place where I'm at and just find peace and just know that it's, destiny. And there really isn't, you can only control so much in your life. You control nothing when it comes to anyone else around you. You only control your thoughts, your actions. So you learn to kind of make yourself a better person while you're waiting for the love of your life. And, like I say at the end of the book, I hope that you take what I put here, and one day you can just say, be off the market and say sold, but not because you're not, good. Like, I want you to work on yourself and you the best version of yourself, and then boom, sold, off the market. And hopefully you never have to go back on that market.
Stephanie Rose-Vriniotis, thank you so much for coming on Thrive
so
Loud.
much.
This was a lot of fun. You have fun today?
Oh, I had a great time. This was wonderful. Enjoyed it.
Shout out to our friends at Podcast Junkies and Ben, our amazing producer here.
Thank you.
And to all our listeners out there, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
Falling in love with
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.